Hello friends, welcome to the Point. So in this session we'll be discussing about India-Japan relations. So India-Japan relations, they have traditionally been strong. The people of India and Japan, they have engaged in cultural exchanges primarily as a result of Buddhism. So Buddhism, it spread indirectly from India to Japan via China and Korea. So the people of India and Japan, they are guided by common cultural traditions including the shared heritage of Buddhism and share a strong commitment to the ideals of democracy, tolerance, pluralism and open societies. India and Japan, so two of the largest and oldest democracies in Asia, having a high degree of congruence of political, economic and strategic interest, view each other as partners that have responsibility for and they are capable of responding to global and regional challenges. India is the largest recipient of Japanese aid and both countries have a special relationship, official development assistance. It is called as ODA. And this is a category, ODA, it is a category used by Development Assistance Committee of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development to measure the foreign aid. So this, the DAC first adopted the concept in 1969 and it is widely used as an indicator of international aid and flow. So as of 2017, bilateral trade between India and Japan stood around $17.63 billion. So the two nations, with India being a British colony, were enemies during the Second World War, but political relations between the two nations have remained warm since India's independence. Japanese companies such as Yamaha, Sony, Toyota and Honda, they have been manufacturing facilities in India. They have manufacturing facilities in India with the growth of Indian economy. India is a big market for Japanese firms and Japanese firms were some of the first firms to invest in India. The most prominent Japanese company to have an investment in India is automobiles multinational Suzuki, which is in partnership with Indian automobiles company, that is Maruti Suzuki, which is the largest car manufacturer in the Indian market and a subsidiary of the Japanese company. So in December, Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh visits to Japan culminated in the signing of joint statement towards Japan-India strategic and global partnership. And Japan has helped finance many infrastructure projects in India, most notably the Delhi metro system. So Indian applicants were welcomed in 2006 to this JET program, with one slot available in 2006 and increasing to 41 slots in 2007. In 2007, the Japanese Self-Defense Forces and the Indian Navy took part in a joint naval exercise called Malabar 2007 in the Indian Ocean, which also involved the naval forces of Australia, Singapore and the United States. In 2007 was declared India-Japan Friendship Year. And according to 2013 BBC World Service poll, 42% Japanese think India's international impact is mainly positive, with 4% considering it as negative. Now let's see the historical relations between India and Japan. So talking about this prehistoric context, Yayoi tombs, they have yielded hundreds and in some cases thousands of Indo-Pacific cube-drawn glass beads originating from India and Southeast Asia, which dates from early Yayoi, that is from 300 to 200 BCE, which indicates the existence of Indian Ocean maritime contacts between Japan and the Southeast Asia. So the historic context, India's earliest documented direct contact with Japan was with Todaiji temple in Nara, where the consecration or eye-opening of the towering statue of Lord Buddha was performed by an Indian monk, Bodhisena, in 752 AD. So talking about Hinduism in Japan. So according to my opinion, if all our rich and educated men once go and see Japan, their eyes will be opened. So this was a sentence said by Swami Vivekananda. The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 5, Conversations and Dialogues, Sri Priyanath Sinha. So in that book, he has mentioned a statement called, in my opinion, if all our rich and educated men once go and see Japan, their eyes will be opened. This was the statement given by Swami Vivekananda. Though Hinduism is a little practiced religion in Japan, it has still had a significant but direct role in the formation of Japanese culture. So this is mostly because many Buddhist beliefs and traditions spread to Japan from China via Korean peninsula in 6th century. So one indication of this is the Japanese seven gods fortune. Japanese seven gods fortune, of which four originated as Hindu deities. That is Saraswati, Kubera, Shiva and Lakshmi. So along with Saraswati and Lakshmi, and completing the Nipponization of three Hindu Trivedi gods, the Hindu goddess Mahakali is Nipponized as the Japanese goddesses. So though she is only counted among Japan's 7 luck deities, when she is regarded as a feminine manifestation of her male counterpart called Daikutten. So Benzaiten arrived in Japan during the 6th through 8th centuries, mainly via this Chinese translations of the Sutra of Golden Light. She is also mentioned in the Lotus Sutra. In Japan, the Lokapalas take the Buddhist form of 4 heavenly kings. The Sutra of Golden Light became one of the most important sutras in Japan because of its fundamental message, which teaches that the 4 heavenly kings protect the ruler who governs his country in proper manner. The Hindu god of death, Yama, is known in his Buddhist form as Enma. Garuda, the mount Vahana of Vishnu, is known as Karura, an enormous fire-breathing creature in Japan. It has the body of a human and the face of a beak of an eagle. A tenin originated from the Apsaras. The Hindu Ganesha is displayed more than Buddha in temple in Futako, Tamagawa, Tokyo. And other examples of Hindu influence on Japan include the belief of 6 schools or 6 doctrines, as well as the use of yoga and pagodas. Many of the facets of Hindu culture which have influenced Japan have also influenced Chinese culture. So people have written books on the worship of Hindu gods in Japan, and even today it is claimed Japan encourages a deeper study of Hindu gods. Buddhism in Japan. So Buddhism, it has been practiced in Japan since its official introduction in 552 Common Era according to the Nihon Shoki from Beichi, Korea by Buddhist monks. So although some Chinese sources place the first spreading of religion early during the Kofun period, that is from 250 to 538, Buddhism has had a major influence on the development of Japanese society and remains an influential aspect of the culture to this day. So the cultural exchanges between India and Japan began early in the 6th century with the introduction of Buddhism to Japan from India. So the Indian monk called Bodhisena, he arrived in Japan in 736 to spread Buddhism and performed eye-opening of the great Buddha built in Todaiji, and it would remain in Japan until his death in 760. And Buddhism and the intrinsically linked Indian culture, it had a great impact on Japanese culture, and it is still felt today, and it resulted in a natural sense of amiability between the two nations. As a result of the link of Buddhism between India and Japan, monks and scholars, they often embarked on voyages between the two nations, and ancient records from the now destroyed library at Nalanda University in India, and it describes scholars and pupils who attended the school from Japan. And one of the most famous Japanese traveler to the Indian subcontinent was Tenjiku Tokubei. He is named after Tenjiku, who is a heavenly abode, the Japanese name for India. The cultural exchanges between the two countries created many parallels in their folklore, and modern popular culture based upon this folklore, such as the work of fantasy fiction in manga and anime, sometimes bear references to common deities called Deva, demons called as Asura, and philosophical concepts. The Indian goddess Saraswati, for example, is known as a Benjaitan in Japan, Brahma known as Bonten, and Yama known as Enma. They are also a part of traditional Japanese Buddhist pantheon. In addition to common Buddhist influence on the two societies, Shintoism, being an animist religion, is similar to the animist strands of Hinduism. In contrast to the religions present in the rest of the world, which are monotheistic. So, Sanskrit, a classical language used in Buddhism and Hinduism, is still used by some ancient Chinese priests who immigrated to Japan, and the Siddham script is still written to this day, despite having passed out usage in India. And it is also thought that the distinctive Tori gateways at temples in Japan may be related to the Torana gateways used in Indian temples. So, in the 16th century, Japan established political contact with Portuguese colonies in India, and the Japanese initially assumed that the Portuguese were from India and that Christianity was a new Indian faith. So, this mistaken assumptions were due to the Indian city of Goa being a central base for the Portuguese East India Company, and also due to significant portion of the crew on Portuguese ships being Indian Christians. So throughout the 16th and 17th century, Indian seamen frequently visited Japan as a crew members aboard Portuguese ships, and later aboard East India Company merchantmen in 18th and 19th century. And during the anti-Christian persecutions in 1596, many Japanese Christians fled to Portuguese colony of Goa in India. And by the early 17th century, there was a community of Japanese traders in Goa, in addition to Japanese slaves brought by Portuguese ships from Japan. And the relations between the two nations, they have continued since then, but direct political exchange began only in Meiji era. That was from 1868 to 1912, when Japan embarked on the process of modernization. Japan-India Association was founded in 1903, and further cultural exchange occurred during the mid-late 20th century through Asian cinema, with Indian cinema and Japanese cinema both experiencing a golden age during the 1950s and the 1960s. And Indian films by Satyajit Ray, Guru Dutt were influential in Japan, while Japanese films by Akira Kurosawa, Yasujiro Ozu, and Takashi Shimou have likewise been influential in India. So in the next session, let's discuss about the Indian independence movement and what was the Japanese strand in this. Thank you.